sequence. For the people that were here, it was half guard. So it's the person on bottom is the one advancing. The week before we did heat advancing, but I like to, or we like to pair it. So we show you what to do when you're in both positions. So pretty much half guard, really slow, peaks kind of stacking you get the deep underhook, you kind of sneak out. And then we ended where we grabbed his ankle and his knee, and we kind of got active toes and drove with our chest and collapsed. And we kind of spun around this way to side control. We pretty much ended side control, but his shoulders completely off the mat. So standard side control is here, where both the P shoulders are on the mat. But last week, this is why we're doing the techniques today, some of my favourite stuff, is where he's actually facing away from me, but one shoulder's completely up. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll get a bit closer and then we'll swing 180. Okay, we'll go this way, I reckon. Oh, hang on, maybe that's a bit this way, sorry. Okay, so the first one, today we're going to do a bow and arrow choke, which is, this one's lethal from this exact position. Yeah, we'll do it this way, we'll swing it after. Okay, so we ended up here basically last week and you had outstretched legs and a lot of weight on. Okay, this one's really cheeky, it only works in gi, but it's really good. I've landed it quite a few times. Okay, so step one, you want to grab his top side lapel with your hand that's kind of under his neck. So it's kind of like, that's the gift wrap, but you do that in no gi, but we want to go gi. So what I do is, with my right hand, my top hand, grab his material, force it under his chin, and then pull your thumb up. So your material, force down, whilst my thumb goes up, like that, okay? That's tight. A lot of people just kind of get it here. It's loose, look at all that space, okay? So we utilize both hands to push down and just pull it through, like a zip tie. Just zzz, okay? Now that's tight. You can probably get some damage from just doing a hand like that. See that, okay? All good? Okay, so there's kind of 3 steps to this. We've got his shoulder off the ground, which is exactly what we want. Step 1, zip tie. Step 2 is 2 things at once. Grab the material at his knee, and at the same time, we want to stand up on our knee, and our knee is going to shoot between my shoulder, through my armpit and his head. Okay, so a little bit loose so I don't choke you up mid-transition. So here, we're just going to sit up to combat base. See that knee sticking through? Oh, sensei. Hey, sensei. Does it make sense? So we're here, zip tie step 1, pants and knee shoots through to the back of his head. And I'm sure you can imagine what we're going to do now. We can just pull, and the back of his head's going into my shin, and I'm just pulling. Okay? So you can absolutely get the choke from here. People land this from here all the time. But if you want to be super brutal with it, you can actually get up, stick your toes in his back, and then it's a bow and arrow because we can do double. We can pull his knee this way and arm that way. Does that make sense? So we'll start again. So we got him into position where he's facing away. Now if he's got 2 shoulders down, we can absolutely, and his hands here, we can do things like the gift wrap and kind of like train steamrolling up to this position that we want. Did everyone see that? So 2 shoulders flat. If we can get his wrists, we can just use our chest to push him up to this position, okay? Zip tie, 1. Pants and knee through. It's not out, it's through the armpit, okay? Armpit behind his neck. You can either get it from there, or you can get up your toes under his body and start leaning back. Like that, okay? It's brutal. Go easy on your partners, because, yeah, you're using all your back muscles and a pivot point, which is bowing your shin in the back of his neck. Okay, so that's the first one. Does anyone want to see that one more time? All good? Cool. 1, 2. It's just a whole family of bow and arrows. I did show Carmen and Shannon quickly as well. A couple of variations. You don't need to practice them later on today, but we've got step 1. We've got the zip tie. If your hand's already under his armpit, just throw it behind his head and push down on his head with your forearm, and then same movement, okay? That one, sometimes you can get that one, the arm out. There's a bunch of different variations, okay? So you don't have to always get your knee in. There's not enough time. If you've got a really tight zip tie, sometimes you can even just do it one-handed. Just keep coming around, like that, okay? Just extension of the arm, Okay? So now we're going to switch and Pete's going to show an arm bar from the exact same position. So we're just going to show you 2 attacks from this kind of faced away side control. So just for sake, do you want to just roll me with the gift wrap or a figure from straight normal side control?
And from Ollie's choke as well, little word of advice from someone who has been choked out in a comp, woke up with 2 people hanging onto my feet, that sort of stuff. Those sort of chokes, they come on pretty quick because they're a blood choke, so you think you're out and then all of a sudden you're asleep. So don't wait until you start to see something or having a dream before you tap. So if it starts to feel tight, just tap. It's not
Particularly in training, don't launch out chokes too long, because do it for years and years and years and your neck will get worn out. And feet. Your vertebrae get like worn.
And then you wake up and you think you're dreaming, but you actually just got choked out. So just don't do it. Basically, if you can't get out, the submission's over. Particularly with chokes. If you can't escape the choke, it's over. Start tapping, because it's only a matter of time. Make sense? So side control, we'll go for a bit of an arm bar from the same sort of key lock position that we were focusing on before. So however you want to get to the side, however you want to get him over there, or her over there, it's completely up to you. That's not the objective today. Today is, once he's there. And you notice I'm still keeping pressure on Ollie. All right, because if I don't have pressure on Ollie, if I do all this work and get him over there and then I just sit back and just start all over again. So don't make your life harder than what it already is. Once you've got the pressure, he's already there. So this is a good one. I like to start messing with people's lapels once I've got them in this position, because they start to wonder what's going on. So as soon as I'm here, I generally like to start pulling out lapels, even starting to undo their belt if it's not loose. Choke them out with the belt, even though you're not allowed to, but choke them out with the belt. And they'll pretty much straight away start doing this. They're going to start defending their neck, which is just perfect, because it sets it up nicely for a nice little key lock grip, right now, and a gift wrap. So if you're in this position here, that's probably not the best defence to do, but everyone will. So it's kind of good. So grab it. If they put their arm there, grab it. Don't muck around. Right? And that's your arm now, not theirs. So take the arm, get a nice key lock grip. Remember melted cheese, analogy from the other week? Same principle, same thing applies, melted cheese. Try to get melted cheese off the floor. It's impossible because it's stuck. So I want to be melted cheese. Now what I want to do is from here, because I've probably gone the choke, it hasn't worked, I've missed it, but that's okay because he stuck his arm there. So for me, I then start to flatten my knee out because I want to bring Ollie onto me right now. So I need to keep this position firm. I need to be tight against Ollie. So now is when you kind of got to be a bit careful because this is when you can lose it. It's in the transition that they're going to get out. They're not going to get out here. They're going to get out in the transition. Does that make sense? So I need to get this leg over his head. Does that make sense? To get the arm bar? Because I can't arm bar him here because he's just going to get out. I've got to control him. So this is where I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it in the transition. So for me, I like to essentially just sort of shimmy back a little bit, just shift my weight, but I'm not letting go of Ollie. Right now, I'm still keeping control of Ollie. Now I've got to start to come up. So I'll start to pull him up, start snaking my leg around. This is a point where I've got to change my grip. I've got to bring my head arm over, but I've got to keep my pressure on him. Get my leg over. Now this one that I flattened out, I've got to bring it up. Bring it up into his shoulder blade. Here. So, if Ollie spins around, watch this leg. So I'm sort of tucking in, I'm shimmying back. Got to start snaking around. I'm still tight. Keep it tight on Ollie. This one's coming over, being replaced by the leg. in tight, that's rolling in tight. Does that make sense? So then to finish, tuck my leg in, keep the pressure on. You're right, bro. Nice and firm, keep the pressure on. One's coming out, one's replacing. Pull in nice and tight. Now's when I can start to come back. Dive it in under his shoulder blade. Because I want a nice lock. I want it to be nice and tight. Here on his arms, does that make sense? Now once I've got here, they're pretty much going to do that. You know, they're going to join their arms together. They're going to do something because they're like, this isn't good. So that's all right. Just break his grip. Keep your T-lock grip. Just break it. Now you can kind of do whatever you want, really. Just armbar. Squeeze the legs. Pull him in, nice and tight. Just pull that one down. Make sense? One more. See one more. So we've got him to here. Remember, if you get that gift wrap, start playing with the gi. Puts them in two minds, they don't really know what's going on. Where's the other one gone? Beautiful. I like to just start playing with the gi. Pull it out, loosen the belt, particularly when they start to defend. So you kind of got to make a little bit of space. You push down, get the grip, pull it in. Pull ollie into you. Keep it firm. I'm going to shimmy my weight. So that's made it really uncomfortable for him. It's not my problem, that's his. One's coming around. Got to replace. Tight the whole time. Because that's when they're going to get out. They're going to get out in the transition. There we are. Pull it in. Break his grip. That's good. That's good. Is that okay? 1, 2.